Alright, welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Less Non-Classics. This is episode number 3033. Double shot number, I think it's, 33, double shot 2927. Here we're discussing Wonder Woman issues number 505 to 511. Oh, and the reason why I'm discussing only these very issues in particular? Well, because basically, the main reason why is because, how should I put this? It's like, the main reason why is that there's a trade coming up, and basically it's like, because of course there's a trade coming up I'm going to do next that, I'm going to do next, and basically, move on from there. Now we have Robert Kanigher back in these issues. In case you're curious though, when did he leave the book per se? I think he left when Danny O'Neil, I think when he decided to do a run in this title. Yeah. But there's nothing really bigly noteworthy about his issues for Wonder Woman. Not really, no. He returned to the book. He left the book with issue 176. He did kind of back 49200, and then he basically is back here from 205 to most 211, but he doesn't do 206. Nope, he does not do 206. 206 is basically done by Carrie Bates. A lot of these issues is basically first of which she takes on Dr. Domino. Yes, seriously. That is his name. He is a one-shot villain that Robert Kanigher created for this one issue. We also had the first appearance of a character by the name of Morgan Tracy. It's a new character, basically, was created for this book. At least he's a little more interesting. At least he's around. But he's only around for this opening issue, and then he disappears for a bit, and he comes back. And he pops up sporadically into issue 268. And the whole thing with this issue is that we have a new status quo for the book. She's in New York City, not wherever she was before. And we also have the origin story of Princess Nabua. Yes, her origin story here. And excuse me, she made a debut in 204. She must have was another Wonder Woman. And sadly put, by 206, she was done. And here's the weird thing about this woman. Did you know that DC brought this character back? Oh god, yes, she did. Post-Crisis, she did kind of appear. Though she was a fallen Amazon. And if you're really curious, she didn't do much. She appeared for a couple of the main book, an annual. She was a very minor character. She became more prevalent with DC Rebirth. Well, actually more like Infinite Frontier. She made a debut in issue 75 of Volume 5 for Wonder Woman. It was issue 75 by Jewel Wilson. Yeah, they basically brought back the character, and she's become a primary character in the comics since then. Oh yeah, and because she's an Amazon, surrounded a bunch of women, let's make her an open lesbian. Yep, let's do that for some strange reason. Yeah. It's like the whole thing when she first introduced back in the 70s. It's like she was a test woman, but it didn't really go anywhere. She's here for just a few issues. We have Don Heck, basically, as the artist of these issues. Now, Carrie Bates does basically issue number 206. Mostly put to basically take on, well, Mars, a.k.a. Ares. Yes, who in this issue was going by his Mars alias, which is actually his Roman name, believe it or not. And of course, they attack the Paradise Island. You know, Captain Palagula basically is back in these issues here. Yep. The former Nazi. Yeah, she's back here for a few issues. She does take time off. She's back with 207. First time she's been booked since issue 174. She's back here also for 210, 211. She is returning into like right after the 12 Labor story arc. Oh yeah, and also a backup feature called The Four Dooms. It's other stuff per se, but there's not really like, it feels as though basically when I read these issues, it felt as though basically just Robert Kanigher just kind of continuing what he was doing before he had to leave because Danny O'Neill wanted to do a reboot of the character. And we have Neptunes, Sky Demons, basically another Wonder Girl story. You're thinking, wait a minute, another Wonder Girl story? But this is the Bronze Age. Why the heck would she do? What did they do a Bronze one? Heck, there's even one where she shrinks. Yes, shrinks. And you're thinking, wait a minute, Nick, this is the Bronze Age. Why are they doing Goofy Age Silver Age? I have no freaking idea. 211 is a very interesting one because the opening first two stories of this one are original stories. And all the rest of the stories in this book are all reprints. Like The Mannequins of Mercury, where she takes on the aliens of planet Mercury in the opening story. And then you have her versus Queen Atomica, who only appears in this one issue. And if you're really curious, is she an older character they brought back here? Yes, this is a character who debuted in the Golden Age of comics. And this was basically like, she appeared once in issue 1 back in 21. And then they brought her back one more time, as fairly recently. They brought back her for one issue of G. Willos's run for Wonder Woman. Yes, actually it was Steve Orlando who basically brought her in for a single issue, and that was it. It's like, oh, let's just bring this in, and then, okay. These are just okay issues per se, but it's like, you read, like I said, you read these issues, it felt as though, like, it's like, oh, let's continue the Silver Age goofiness with this book, like her battling aliens, but done with a little bit of Bronze Age twist. But nothing against Robert Kanigher, it just, I like his war stuff better than his Wonder Woman stuff, sadly. Of course, I have read all the issues of Wonder Woman, I have reviewed all of them yet, but I'll talk more about his stuff later on. But I'm going to give Wonder Woman 205 to 211 a 8 out of 10. Sadly, it was a step down for what Danny O'Neill was doing. Next up, I'm so happy to talk about this one. We're talking about the final trade for Manhunter Volume 3. Yep, the last one. For Kate Spencer. Yep, her last trade is known as Forgotten. This collects issues 31 to 38, written by Marc Andreyko, because he wrote every single issue of this book. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, where, like, at one point, her book ended, like, this was kind of weird with this book. Because this is kind of weird. I just know this is basically like, so Issue 30 was released in June of 2007. And then the next issue didn't come out until like about 2 months later. And the whole thing with this one is basically like, first we have her take on Atomic Skull for a couple issues. She also meets her grandfather, Iron Morrow. And Sandra Knight is in these issues. She at one point is babysitting her son, Randall. You know, Sandra babysitting her great-grandson, who she's basically bathing. And kind of in a way, it's like The Forgotten is like a 4-parter. Yeah, actually it's more like a 6-parter. The last 2 issues, we also have the first appearance of a new crime doctor, who is a woman. Yep. Who, by the way, did return after this book wrapped up. She's here from 32, 36, and then she appeared in a couple issues of Wonder Woman. When Gail Simone wrote the book, she appeared in the issue of Blue Beetle. When Matthew Sturgis, who, well, actually was a guest star appearance, but yeah, she appeared in Wonder Woman, which, that was interesting. Yes. Though she's not the original crime doctor. Oh no, she's the second one. The original one is a guy by the original one in the comics was a guy by the name of Bradford Throne. That was the original crime doctor. Made his debut in the Comics 77. He actually has been dead since Birds of Prey 95. Yeah, that's when they killed off the character. Oh, and guess who killed him off? Gail Simone. And then we have this brand new one. By the way, they brought it back for the current continuity, believe it or not. They brought it back in Deathstroke Incorporated. You're like, what? Yeah, for a single issue. I'm like, what? Yeah. So, we also have some issues. We also have one issue here where she's dealing with the Suicide Squad, who act as free agents, and she's working with the Birds of Prey. I'm like, that's interesting. By the way, the Suicide Squad is comprised of Bronze Tiger, Owen Harkness, the Said Cat Boomerang, Captain Vertigo, Multiplex, and Plastique. They're here for like just a quick standalone issue. This like, yes, they're working with Waller, but she decides to basically convince him after a couple issues to fake her death. By, well, just tear a piece of her costume off and just put some blood on it and claim, oh yeah, you say you died. And she kind of didn't leave with the Birds of Prey, which is basically Huntress, Lady Blackhawk, and who was the other one? It was, I remember there was 3 of them. It just, Orko was here too. Yeah. So, yeah, and they deal with basically like, it's like the whole thing with Suicide Squad here was kind of interesting. Yeah, and then basically like right after this. By the way, also, it's revealed that that director Bones. Apparently, the whole thing of him, like, this is kind of weird when it comes to this book. So it's revealed, the director Bones, that the whole thing of him showing a skeleton, it's actually an invisible cover for his actual skin. Something he hates for some reason, and Kate brings it up while she is in the hotel room in her underwear on a laptop talking to Bones, and mentions the fact that he is black. Yes, this was probably a Marc Andreyko retcon, because I highly doubt Roy Thomas came up with this thing. Yes. So, by the way, he does appear in the later, and of course the story gets wrapped up by issue 36. It's a pretty interesting storyline. The last couple issues are weird, to say the least. You see, the last 2 issues is a time skip. Now, I'm not sure how old Kate Spencer is supposed to be in the final 2 issues of this book. It's like maybe that the book was not supposed to have these 2 issues, but maybe, I'm guessing at this. This is basically sometime later. So get this. Some time has passed by. Kate Spencer has got a white streak in her hair. She's dating somebody. Also, her son is older, and he has a boyfriend. Yep. Marc Andreyko made her son a gay guy. I don't know why. Yes, Ramsey. Yeah, so they made him gay. Not sure why. So he has a boyfriend named Justin who only exists in these 2 issues. Yeah, he never returned after this. Ramsey did, but he did not. So in this future, Ramsey is graduating from high school, so his boyfriend Justin calls her Miss Spencer. And she's like, Justin, I'm your boyfriend's mom. Call me Kate. Oh, and also at 37, Kate's, I think it's her new husband or boyfriend, I'm not really sure. So apparently in the future, apparently her father's dead. Basically, so Kate herself is I think she's dating Dylan Broad, I think it is. No, his name is Matt. And also, so I mentioned he's 23, so also when they actually have where, we have Matt in the shower, and he's like, Miss Spencer, are you seducing me? I'm like, did Marc Andreyko reference basically, yeah, he referenced a Dustin Hoffman movie, The Graduate. Are you seducing me, Mrs. Robinson? Yes, seriously. Yeah. I'm like, Andreyko, why the heck did you reference Dustin? Now, I know what that reference is because I've seen The Graduate. So, I know what he's referencing. Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, who would have thunk he referenced of all things Dustin Hoffman? Are you seducing me? Yeah, and of course, I was graduating, and as a graduating present, he becomes a superhero. Yep. Ramsey becomes Manhunter. Except his outfit is similar to that of, I think it was like, reminds me a lot of one of the previous Manhunters. So it was mentioned in the final issue of this book that in the future, Kate's ex-husband is dead. Also, to bring in Sweeney Todd. Yes, he's back for the last 2 issues of this book. Because he is returned. And he's never seen again. By the way, he last appeared was issue 25 of this book. And there's also a new Jade named Jennifer Rice, who is Todd Rice's daughter. Yes, Todd Rice in the future. Yeah, because they had Obsidian basically just still be around. Yeah, so that's kind of in a way what happens. So book ends with him being a Manhunter, and it's almost like this is the route that Rodrigo wanted to go. But he probably heard, yeah, the book is getting canceled, but can I do a couple issues of this fast forward stuff? By the way, this is never meant. It's some year's timeline only exists in these last 2 issues because this is never brought up ever again. Not really, no. But this is the end of the Manhunter book by Marc Andreyko. So, final thoughts on Manhunter, Volume 3 by Marc Andreyko. Excuse me, this 38-issue run. Excuse me, absolutely amazing. I own a couple of trades. I opened the opening trade, and I also owned, which is Street Justice. And also in the trade, they actually had Wonder Woman's trial when she killed Maxwell Lord back during the Sacrifice crossover. But this series is amazing. Yeah, amazing artist. In case, by the way, the artist for the last for the last few issues of this book, we have Michael Gedros. Yes, he is the artist for the last. I think he's the artist for the remainder of this book. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's the final artist of this book, replacing the previous artist, who was Javier Pina. Yeah, Javier Pina was the original artist of this book. Actually, no, he was not the original artist. He was the artist from issue 8 up until issue 30. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he took over from a previous artist who was on the book, which was Jesus Sanchez. Yes. So, yeah, he's Spanish. So, Sanchez did the first 7 issues of this book. And then he left. So, in the span of 38 issues, the book had only one writer, but it had 3 artists on it. None of them were bad. None whatsoever. I love all the aspects related to Kate Spencer. I love her characters. I love her suit. The fact that also they killed off 2 characters in this book, in fact, they followed for some from other books, I thought was interesting. But in case you're curious, though, what did Kate Spencer do after this book wrapped up? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. I love the fact also they basically identified who her grandfather was, who was the character Roy Thomas created. In fact, her grandmother was the awesome Phantom Lady. Oh yeah, and also the fact that Jack Knight, the star of the awesome James Robinson Starman series, that's her cousin. Yep. Oh yeah, the whole thing of like possible that her grandfather may have been Alfred. That was a ploy to cover the fact that her grandfather was actually Iron Morrow. Now, I'm not sure exactly why that Marc Andreyko made it where it was basically a character who was not as known as Alfred was. I would say that Iron Morrow is probably less known than Alfred. Now, Sandra Knight, of course, people kind of know who she is due to the fact she was a Phantom Lady, and also she appeared in James Robinson's Starman. And also she remembered the Freedom Fighters. So it's nice the fact that we have a single mom, which is great. The fact that she's got great lineage, which is awesome. The fact Andreyko basically did an excellent job with this book. Like, there was not a single bad issue. It's a shame, basically, what happened with him when it comes to Batwoman. Where that became one of the worst books he ever wrote. Because, for me personally, I don't blame him what happened with the book. He probably was basically told to write it that way. To be as awful as possible. To be one of the worst books DC published at that point in time. He only wrote 15 issues. He came up with issue 26, believe it or not. Yeah, because DC forced the original creative team off the book because they dared try to have a lesbian wedding. And they had them break up, obviously. But in the case of this was fantastic. It is interesting, though, the fact that Marc Andreyko used 2 Roy Thomas characters in this book. Not just Iron Mara, but Obsidian, who is also a Roy Thomas character, who is from the Infinity Incorporated series, and is the son of Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, who in 38 issues only appeared in 1 issue, just to inform his son the fact his sister died, who later came back to life anyways. And this also is kind of interesting about this book, that I should point out, though. Throughout its 3-year existence, it technically was only part of... It had a loose tie-in to crossover to OMAC Project. But aside from that, which is only for a couple issues, which were awesome, by the way, probably the coolest aspect about this book was the fact that basically Marc Andreyko addressed the fact there was more than one Manhunter. He did ignore them. Yeah, he did kill off a couple of them. He killed off one, basically, who had not been seen since the frickin' 80s, and the other one since the 1990s. The fact he brought back Mark Shaw as a regular character in the book, that was interesting to say the least. The fact that he had basically brainwashed to kill the original Manhunter, Dan Richards, and the fact that his second victim was Chase Lawler, and, like, he's supposed to kill himself, and then, of course, basically, like, oh, then he kills Kirk DePaul, a Kurt Busiek character. Yes, so, of the characters he killed off, like, Chase Lawler, who was the star of the previous book, by the way, he's a creation of Stephen Grant. Now, Mark Shaw himself is a Jack Kirby character. But what about Dan Richards, you might ask? You know, the original Manhunter. Well, some might think, oh, was he a creation of like, was he a creation of Jack Kirby? No. No, he was not. Dan Richards, the original Manhunter, who in this continuity made his first appearance, also at number 31, he's the creation of Tex Bridgestone and Alex Tukoski. You see, his first appearance was actually in Police Comics number 8. And he was a character from Quality Comics. Yeah, he was that original character. Now, Paul Kirk, on the other hand, who was a very famous one, basically like a lot of the Manhunters, who had a really cool looking costume. Yeah. You see, is this guy a Jack Kirby character? Oh, yes. Yes, he is. He is definitely a Jack Kirby character. He is only one of 2. Yes, believe it or not, he is one of 2 of the Manhunters who actually is a creation of Jack Kirby. The other being Mark Shaw. Now, the original Paul Kirk, the one who DC owned, he had nothing to do with the character. I did hear a rumor the reason why that the original Manhunter stopped his stories because DC told him to stop using because we have our own Manhunter. That is presuming anyways what happened, but I have no clarification about that. The fact that the first issue special not only created, well, Mark Shaw, but also created the Manhunter robots. Yes, the Manhunter robots, who would later retconned to be the predecessors of the Green Lantern Corps, the Grand Master, who make occasional appearances. Yeah, and I gotta praise the fact that Jack Kirby created this character, but it's a shame DC did nothing with this character. Like, when Mark Shaw first showed up, he did nothing for about 2 years. And it's like the guy who gave a damn about this character was John Ostrander. He cared about him. He gave his own solo book for him, which is awesome. But this is the last talk about when it comes to Manhunters. But in the case of Kate, well, she became part of like Birds of Prey, JSA. She basically was still active even the book was canceled. She was even brought into current continuity in the pages of Green Arrow. Which, if you're curious, to answer the obvious question, who brought Kate Spencer into the universe? The person brought her in, well, it's hinted it was basically not, it was it was basically a cameo appearance. Yeah, her first appearance in the post-Flashpoint continuity was a cameo in Batwoman number 2 as a cameo. But you could say her first proper appearance was Gotham Midnight number 6. That was probably her first proper appearance in comics. Yes. And, of course, she was part of various comics. I mean, she's, of course, got by Midnight, obviously, Checkmate, Green Arrow. Well, this X-Fireman anyways, when Barris wrote the book, and of course also in the Bensons, participation of Action Comics. She at least was still active. Yes, she was still active. She even appeared in the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing series, just to fight him. And you might be asking, what is the most recent appearance to me to date? Well, it wasn't in Justice League, I can tell you that for sure. Look at this stuff here. I think her most recent appearance was probably the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, issue 12, which came out a little over a year ago. That was probably her most recent appearance to date. I would say so. Yep. But since book is over with, what's replacing Manhunter? Suicide Squad. Yeah, I actually have one volume left to go for Suicide Squad. And it's volume 3. After that, Secret 6. But after Secret 6, I don't know. But that's pretty much that particular video. By the way, I gave the final trade a 10. I think that's amazing. So, next up, more Sentai. Okay? See you.